our particular market, we are in pre-launch. So, but the gentleman we're going to be bringing on, I don't know if he's there. No, let me just text him. Or is he going to look at how we arrange? So this is a gentleman you're going to hear from Orjan. For those who've heard him before, again, for the first time in my career, is when someone approached me about this. And by the way, if you were approached about this, and clearly you were, because that's why you're in the room, I was approached 3 years ago, and I rejected it for 3 solid years, thinking it was just oil. And some of the things that you were just raising here was, it's more about alignment. It's more about making an impact. You hear Paul Clayton tell us the evidence of what's happening. So I was looking for something that was real, but we could also make a real impact. And funny enough, Orjan actually was given some oil 8 years ago because he had a health issue with food intolerance. And for those of my generation, how many of you remember Remington, that they were so impressed with it, they bought the company. And that's what Orjan did, because he had a personal testimonial, and the rest is history, effectively. So there he is. He's on already. So let's not take up his time, because I know over there in Oslo, they've got a President's Christmas party today. Otherwise, he would have been here live. But we're excited to have him on for a few moments with us for the next 20 or 30 minutes. You're going to get wisdom. Listen to the conversation. You're going to get wisdom from the founder of the company and a couple that, when I sat with them in May, I made a decision immediately. Not because I understood everything, but I understood that this couple had a purpose. They were driven about making a difference. So, Orjan, we appreciate you being on. This is the founder. This is the #1 income earner with his wife, Hilda. And he has great expectations. And he believes in the UK market. That's why we've appointed now a sales director. And that's why he's here with us today. So let's give our founder, #1 income earner with Zinzino, Orjan Salih, a big round of applause for being with us today. The floor is yours, Orjan.
Hey there, I hope the sound is
great.
Good.
It sounds good.
Perfect. So I'm excited to be with you guys today, and I hope that you have had a great day so far. I just want to start with setting some expectations, because it's always fun when we get close to Christmas. Is everyone done with all their Christmas shopping?
No.
That's what many have. I think we bought 9 more Christmas gifts today, so we're getting very close. I just have a couple of them left. But you know, I've got 2 kids, one that is 5, and then he's Gabriel, and then Sarah, that is 1 year old, and it's kind of fun. The 5-year-old, of course, he knows what's coming up, and he knows what's in the gifts and all of that. But even the little one, the Sarah one, that is 13 months, she's getting that there is something happening. There is a Christmas tree, and she walks over and looks at it, and then there is the naughty Santa every morning doing all kinds of tricks, which is very intrigued with. And then, of course, we have all the gifts and all the wish list and all of those things. So I think that when we are as new as we are in the UK, it's good to have great expectations. That you're looking forward for the next year, the next couple of years, the next decade, I would even say, and that you expect some very big, great things, some good gifts to be delivered to you. I think it was yesterday in a Zoom meeting, I had one of my friends on that I've been working with for about 20 years. And then he had some new people that were working with in Greece online. And then they had some more Greek people and even some people from Turkey. And just before that call, Jens, he told me about a common friend of us that goes way back, not really a friend, more of an acquaintance that used to be in our business, I'd say more than 15, 18, maybe 20 years ago. And he had ran into him a few months earlier. And when he ran into him, he gave him a couple of bottles of balanced oil and said that, hey, we got to get back into business together, because what we're doing with the balance test and the balanced oil is so unique. And The guy had received a couple of the bottles reluctantly. He did take a test, but he wasn't like all in, I want to do this, I want to join you guys again. And then just yesterday morning, so I always want to tell current story. Jens told me that, hey, this guy, he called me just a few weeks after, like 3 or 4 weeks after, and said, I can't wait to start telling people about Cincino. I can't wait to share my story with all the people that I'm working with. So he's going to go into the business, obviously, after that. Because what happened to him was that he, and I have this mind thing where I always think that everyone is older than me, because I started my business when I was 17 years old. And at 17, everyone I did business with was older than me, and I still believe that everyone is older than me. So this guy is probably older than me. That's my mindset, which means that he's probably 45, 46, 47, something like that. He might be younger than me, 44, 43, 42. So, but in that age group is where, his name is Thomas, where he fits in. And he had so much pain in his body at that age that he could not sit down and to actually tie his shoelaces. That was how severe pain he had and how much loss of function that he had in his hands. And it's pretty incredible that 2 bottles of oil, there is some echo coming there, but that's I'm going to live with that. It's probably only on my side. With 2 bottles of oil, about 6 weeks, most of the pain is gone, and he can actually tie his shoelaces again. And that's an incredible thing. And that's what happens when people get on the balance oil, when people start getting in balance. We get rid of some of those issues we have. So I hope that there is someone in the room that have already had some products result. If you have, then raise your hand and wave to me if you've had some product results. That's pretty amazing. I see about half of the room's hands go up. And remember that the greatest results that we create with our oil is after 5, 6, 7 months. After the body has gotten into balance between omega-6 and omega-3s, and then stayed in balance for a few months. That's actually where we get most of the results. And I see that a lot of people have gotten results already. So the expectations for 2020 as a company is they're through the roof. I believe, I don't know if we're going to communicate this to the stock market, but at least our sales team will talk about this. But I believe that in the next 12 months, we're going to add probably to our family about 12 new markets. It might even be more. UK is going to be one of the first ones that we add to our official market list coming in next year. I believe that we're going to have a sales growth of probably a little bit above 50%. So I think that we're going to go from, and this is in million Swedish, 760 million Swedish to 1140 million or more Swedish in the next 12 months in 2020. So really we're going to be one of the fastest growing companies in our profession, and definitely one of the fastest growing companies in Europe, and actually becoming one of the largest companies on the European continent. And I think that that growth will be coming from all across Europe. And I think that in the UK market, I'm not surprised if we see 1,000% or more growth in the next 12 months. So that this room, that it looks like you're about 50 people in the room today. I can't see everyone. So, but I think that it's going to go from the 50 or 70 that you are today to 500, 700 within a few months. And then eventually the market as a total in sales is going to go up 1,000%. So that's what I'm expecting to happen next year. And it's always exciting when you're going into a year and you have those kind of expectations, because most people that are in my position have very few years in their career where they're coming into a year and they say, yeah, we can do over 50% growth next year. That's very exciting. But most exciting about that is that we're going to add another 150,000 customers. So going from 40,000 to maybe crossing the 400,000 customer mark. But each time we get a customer, it's a new life impacted. And it's also a little bit moving or a trend forward. And I'm going to come back to that in the end of what's going to happen with Zinzino in the long term. But that's a short-term view. So for you to participate in this and become one of the leaders of the UK market and one of the leaders of the European market, eventually the global market of Zinzino, and just you know, like next year is not only European countries we're opening up a bunch of things in Asia as well, and probably some things in Africa as well. So we're going to several continents next year. But it's after you have the clear expectations, it's about clarifying the instructions. What we do and how do we do it? And that's what you're gathered today to get to know. And I hope that you take a lot of notes and that you ask a lot of questions in a break and that you team up with your team members so that you learn the exact how-tos and how to duplicate that. For me, it's like so simple to say, and we are going to comply with the British or the UK DSA rules as soon as we open the country. So how it's going to work when you sign up, you get in day 1, you get your out order. Day 7, I would recommend you to get the ultimate body kit with a refund. And then you immediately, even before you get the ultimate kit, you get your 4 first customers. Because we're a customer first company. You get 4 customers immediately. So when you sign up on your ultimate kit, you already made the fast start bonuses coming into it. And then you sign up A and B, they go through the same drill, and then you get to 10 customers within the first month. That's my recommendation. So getting 10 customers, A and B in the first month, get in on the ultimate kit, because then when you hit 25 customers, you're qualified for the refund, so there is no cost to you starting the business when you qualify for the refund. And you have all the products necessary to go full out and build a business. The ultimate kit is right now at 995 euros. We'll convert that to pounds when we start. And you get 2,400 euros worth of products in it. So that's what we do. And now today is about how do you do this? How do you do the customer presentation? And we've got a great deal of training on our GoCore app, which is included when you have your out order. And we've also got a great deal of training on Zinzino TV. But the most important training that you get is when you get to these events and when you work on a daily basis together with your uplines, with the people that brought you into the business. I'm not saying that in what we do, we have to become an absolute expert at everything. So you don't need to know the balance oil as well as Dr. Paul Clayton. You don't need to know how the biochemistry of the body is working. You don't need to know every single thing about every single ingredient, how it works and what it can affect in the body. But you do need to know enough to answer the basic questions. So don't become a professor, don't become a microscientist that thinks that you know more than you really know, because you really haven't studied all of the things that a scientist have studied. But know enough so you can answer basic questions. Know enough so that you're confident that we have the best product that you could offer in the marketplace at the price that we offer it. Know enough so you know all the details, where is the test sent, how is it working, when do people get results, what's the validity behind it. Know enough so you know the basic fatty acids that is in the oil. Know enough so you know what our health protocol is and what it does for you. Know enough so you can do a good presentation with the new persons that you're bringing into the business, both a personal presentation and a home party presentation for the product. And know enough so you know the Zinzino and how to do a business presentation with people, and also go through, study the express story so that you have the foundations for what we need in Cincino. And also know that what sells is not all of the facts. Facts are important because on the facts, we kind of defend our position for what we're doing, for the choices that we're taking. But it's the stories that sell. So I think that more than anything else, it's knowing the stories about your team member, what they want, know and communicate the stories of the people that are successful in the business, and know and communicate the stories about all the great product results that we get. One morning on product results, you heard me talking about Thomas in the beginning. I said that he had pain and that he had problems and that he had problems tying his shoelaces. So I painted a picture where you understand that he's got some problems. Then I told that Balance Oil solved this in about 6 weeks. I didn't say that it went completely away, but he can now tie his shoelaces, and he's very happy about that. But I did not mention a diagnosis because we don't cure and treat diseases. We are a health supplement. We're a food supplement. And if it's the food that is causing you the pain, the food can correct the pain for you. And that's what happened to Thomas. And we don't have it. If people ask me, does this work on arthritis? I say, I don't know. I'm not supposed to know that. But I sure know that a lot of people that have had joint problems have gotten good results with the product. So stay away from the diagnosis, because that's not what we're talking about. Tell the stories without adding in any diseases to it. Okay, so that was a little bit of a warning. So their UK is going to be in our 50% growth next year. And if we're going to get 1,000% growth in the UK, well, that's going to be all about you. Because you're responsible. We set expectations, we give the instructions, but when it comes to building the Cincino business, it, in the end, comes down to that you got to be responsible for your actions. So today, I would recommend you write down some goals. I had around this table where I'm sitting, I had yesterday, I think was, or yesterday or 2 days ago, I can't remember, maybe it was 2 days ago. I had a group of about 9 people coming in from Finland to our home, and they qualified together with top leaders in Finland to be here. And we had a few sessions together. I talked about the fundamentals of having a good positive attitude, and how if we don't feel good, it's hard to take strong actions, because all our actions comes out of our feelings. And if you don't have excellent actions, we get bad results. And bad results, if people think that there is positive results and negative results, which most people do, I believe there is only results, then that influences our thinking. And when it influences our thinking, we feel bad and we take more actions, or we take no actions that doesn't lead to results that we want to have in our life. And in the conclusion of that, I said that we got to go out of that vicious cycle and into the cycle where our dreams and our future is more important than the past where our feelings got hurt. So that's the most important thing in my life, is what's to come, not what happened yesterday. What happened yesterday, I can do nothing about. But what's going to happen tomorrow, that's in my hands. That's in my control. So I sat down with her for a 15-minute private coaching. And she said, I've got such a problem with this thinking thing. I've got such a problem because I get up and then I produce for a while and then I get sad and then I can't take the actions that I need to get results, and then I get mad at myself, and then my thoughts are killing me. And I said to her, so tell me where you're going to be 20 years from now. She looks back at me like I'm an alien, very green, that just got sent in from the universe to tell her some silly things. And she's been in my business for many years. She says, I don't have a 20-year. How can I know what I'm going to do 20 years from now? It's impossible for me to know what I want or what I can do 20 years from now. And then I worked with her and just said, okay, but let's forget about all of that because that comes from your feelings. Just 20 years from now, and by the way, the difference between humans and every other species on the planet is our ability to dream and have imagination, using the creative power, imagining and deciding that that imagination that I see in the future is true. And in some, that's called casting a vision. We have a vision that that's how it's going to be, but we don't have any proof yet. But we believe that if we work to the best of our ability, this can happen. So I said, so cast everything aside. Decide where are you going to be 20 years from now. And we eventually came down with that she wanted to have 100,000 customers. And I think that that's a beautiful vision. And that she wanted to have an income in excess of 50,000 euros a month. I'll tell you guys, the way we drew up our plan, it's impossible that she won't make more money than that, but that's okay. She'll be happy with 50. Anybody else would be happy with 50? I see no hands. Oh, okay. If it's in pounds, then it's okay. Because I don't understand that euro thing, so no, I'm just having a little bit of fun with you guys. So that's what we wrote down, and then I said, no, we can start working together. Because if we track back, and she's been in our business, I think it's 6 years or 5 years. 5 years she's been in our business. And she has 5,500 customers today, okay? And I just showed her, so if we grow with 16% annually, then you're gonna hit your goal 20 years from now. And she goes, is it that easy? I'm not even or she said, I'm 62 then. So you say that by growing 16% a year, I can hit that goal by the age of 62. And I said, absolutely yes, 16% growth a year. And then we looked into the details of her different legs, and she realized that she only had to grow like 800 or 900 customers in 2020, and her plan for 2020 was already to grow more than 3,000 customers. So she went, wow, this is incredible. And she started viewing her life and her business in a different perspective because she decided where she were going and know she could course correct after something that was easy to reach. And it's interesting, 100,000 customers is easy to reach if you put it 20 years into the future, but easy to reach, and she could navigate and know she could believe in her dreams more than in her past feelings. I got very excited about that. So when you set goals today, I want you to think 20 years ahead, maybe even 30 years ahead. The last goal me and Hilda set together is 30 years ahead. We do have other personal goals that goes more than 100 years into the future. Some of them even 500 years into the future, because we want our family to be impacted for a very long time. But in the business of Zinzino, we've just set a 30-year goal of what we're going to do. Then you track back and say, okay, if 20 years from now I'm going to be here, then you say 10 years from now I'm going to be here, then you say 5 years from now I'm going to be here, then 3 years from now I'm going to be here, then 1 year from now I'm going to be here. And that becomes your 2020 goal when you break it down back to what do I need to achieve in 2020 to get my 20-year vision. And then you break that down into what you got to do in January. I think that everyone here should get 10 action points in December so that you start January with 200% ECB. If you don't know what that is, just ask your upline. It's an incredible promotion that we're doing right now in December. And then that's goal setting, those visions, is going to get your priorities right so that you manage to stay focused on Zinzino for a long enough time to have it create big success for you. So here is what I think is going to happen inside of the UK market. Okay, let me put a time frame on it. I think that this is going to happen in the UK probably in the next 15 to 20 years, okay? Okay, let's decide on 20 years. I'm arguing with myself, right? So next 20 years, this is what I think is going to happen in the UK market. Right now, there is 67.7 million that lives in the UK. Out of those, I did some calculations, there is an interest in pre-existing omega products at about 15% and it's growing. So 20 years from now, 30 years from now, this will probably be higher. And omega market is everywhere from where people are taking omega enriched food, so it says enriched with omega-3 in the food, to taking a regular omega cod liver oil or anything like that, to flaxseed oil, to a protein drink that is enriched with omega-3. So that's the omega market. People are buying those products because they want to have a good ratio between omega-6 and omega-3, even though they don't know it. So that's at about 15% right now, which gives us about 10 million people that are consuming omega-3s in your market today. 10 million people. Simple number to remember. They're spending the money, and if they got introduced to a balanced test, so you get introduced to a balanced test, 97% or more of them would fail the test. And I don't know, I've looked at specific numbers from your marketplace, so they could probably update you more on that. But most of the times, even in Norway, we're the most fish-consuming country on earth, most of the times people fail the test, even if they're eating a lot of fish and a lot of omega-3s, because the products that they're taking is ineffective, they're poor quality, or they're not taking them in a high enough amount. So, but it's worse than that. It's not only that they fail the test, but without the high polyphenol olive oil that we have in our product, the products are anyways a lot less effective than ours. So if you compare a product that would actually get you in balance from regular omega-3 with balanced oil is still 10 times more effective on creating results in the body. I don't know if you've heard my story, but the reason why we started selling balanced oil in Cincinnati was because I got my health back. And I've consumed omega-3 since I was 7 years old. At the time I took my first test, I was consuming 3 different omega-3s on a daily basis. And still I had 10.4 to 1. So I didn't only fail it, I failed it completely. I was 300% from the ideal numbers. 4 months later, I was completely well again. And my second test was 1.7 to 1, a 500% improvement. So here's what I think will happen next 20 years, is that Cincinnati will go out and test more and more people. More and more people will be aware of that our product is 10 times more effective. And the other omega-3 companies will up their dosage, so the total market grows for everyone. But I think that we will be able to take about 20% market share of the UK market, which would give us 2 million customers. Adding in inflation over 20 years would give us about 800 million pounds in sales. And you're in the day it's starting. Actually, you're in before it's starting, and that gives you an amazing opportunity. Because what we're doing with test-based nutrition, 6-3 balance, with our product is that we're in the beginning of a 30 years global trend to change the omega market. The omega market in total throughout the globe is 500 million people, and it's growing with 41 million people every single year. And I think that we're going to take 15 to 20% of that global market as well in the next 30 years. But not all of those markets are open yet, like the UK's. We'll do it faster to get 20% market share in the UK than a country which we're opening 10 years from now. So the opportunity that you have in front of you right now is like being able to have a time machine and go back to what would be the favorite time for me to go back to, I think my favorite time to go back to from an investment standpoint, if I'm going to do newer history, would in Norway be 1993, when real estate was literally given to you. I don't know if you had that time in the UK where you could come in and pay £1 and there was a common loan on the property and you could take over the property for £1. That was 1993 in Norway. And then since that, it's been growing straight for basically soon 30 years. Or it's like going back to, again, 1993. You know which word I heard for the first time in 1993? The internet. So the internet was invented as a word in 1993. And then being aware of how the internet is today, and then being able to invest in all of those great companies and sit with those shares for all of those times. Or, again, 1993 is my favorite year to go back to because I launched my direct selling business in 1993. And one of the things that I did was I got myself a car phone, which it was called back then. But I got one of the first held-hand ones. So we called it a mobile phone. Later on, we called it a cell phone. So I got a mobile phone back then. And I remember how my friends were criticizing me for getting a mobile phone, say, what are you going to do with a mobile phone? I mean, what's the point of that? It's very expensive and nobody else has one. So what are you going to do with it? And I said, well, I'm not going to stay at home anymore waiting for you to call, and I'm not going to use a payphone to call back home. I'm going to just call people directly, and soon, I said, within 10 years, everyone will have one. So what if I take an action on that thought, 100%, and say that 10 years from now, everyone will have one, and invested in all the mobile phone companies? Well, 2003 was when everyone in Norway had a mobile phone, but 2019, the turnover of the mobile industry in Norway is 5 times higher than what it was in 2003. So there was still more juice in the market. So I hope that you're getting my point. You're sitting at the beginning of a 30-year global trend, which will change the Omega market, which will change direct selling, and Cincino will be at the center of that. And you have an opportunity to build an amazing career together with us and changing first hundreds, or first a few, then 100, then a few thousand, then a few tens of thousands, and eventually cities and nations to having a better health. That's our vision. By 2050, Cincino will have 20% of the current Omega market with over 100 million customers. And I hope that you become a key role in that and a key leader in Cincino, and that 2020 will be amazing. And then I want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, since I won't see you before that. Thank you so much for listening in.
Thank you, Orjan. Love to the family. Appreciate it. Ooh,
Thank you.
It was a piece of that pie. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you so much.
Can you see now when I sat with Orjan and Hilda at their home in May, I had already made a decision before he even told me what we would be doing. And Orjan's a prime example of it's not getting in business, it's who you get in business with. And that's the thing. So if you're in a position right now that you've been talking to a few people, hey, they're not ready for what we're about to do. But don't burn bridges, put them on the back burner, because this is not a new company, it's just opening a new market. So everything is in place and everything will be tweaked over the next 3 to, well, who mentioned VMA? You did, didn't you? So I can say it. If corporate mentioned it, I can talk about it, okay? They've just acquired or acquiring a company in Asia, in fact Malaysia, that has the licenses for another 6 countries. Orjan talked about maybe 12 or 15 plus companies that will be opening next year. One of it is through Asia, because we just acquired a company that already has the licenses. And all we got to do is put our product down into the funnel. So the potential is huge. If you don't like Chinese, just go in and look on the menu. And ask them if they know anyone in China. If you don't like Thai, do the same thing in a Thai restaurant. Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia, China, through Hong Kong, it's going to be a huge market. But you know what they're more excited about? Us Brits. Enthusiasm, right? Look, when you're the first to the market, someone has to be the magic. And we're going to break now, we're going to come back, we're going to hear from Sue Booth, and I'm going to close out the day with some training. But you know, I'm a very simple man. I'm a very simple man. We were overwhelmed positively by Paul Clayton's data today. And I love Paul. I had the opportunity to sit with Paul a number of times. Paul reassures me that I don't need to know, he does. Orjan inspires me to go out and share the message. Because if we share the message, we'll create momentum. How many of you got here today? Yeah. Okay, 2. I'm trying to get you in. You got here, right?
Yep.
Yeah. How many of you are a mechanic? 1, 2. But how many of you know you can put the clutch down, engage first gear, you just don't know how to understand. You know how to drive, you know where you want to go, but you really could not educate me on how the pistons work. True?
Yeah.
Zeno, in my personal opinion, is the #1 health vehicle to impact the masses. Well, what about this, Dave? Great question. If you give me your email, I'll give it to Jose. Right? This is a different mindset. And to hear those numbers, I was writing these numbers down. 10 million, 20%. I mean, I don't know about you, I believe it's going to happen. But more importantly, I believe it's going to happen with or without me. So if it's going to happen, let's be part of something that's going to be significant. So we're going to break for 20, 30 minutes because we are ahead of schedule.
Yeah, 30. If we do 4 o'clock, I'm back here at 4.
Yeah, 35 then. So, and then you're going to hear from